Hey there, everybody. It's Big Willie 3 here to talk to you about a TidyCat bucket, how to make it effective. Originally wanted to do a 5-gallon bucket. I didn't have one available. That kind of hinders me a little bit, but I will still be able to demonstrate and kind of give you a rough idea where to go with this. I got the idea from watching what's that show called? Um, Naked and Afraid. Naked and Afraid, where they get one item to go out and survive with, and I thought about what I would take, and after thinking about it, I was like, bucket wouldn't be a terrible choice. I mean, you can make a lot of things out of a bucket. It can serve a lot of purposes. It can be used as storage for multiple purposes. It could be used to carry water. You name it. I mean, storage gives you an extra height in case maybe there's like a piece of fruit on the trees that you can't reach. Can't reach. Water storage. I mean, somewhere's to sit down, somewhere's to go. You know, talk about. Anyways, what I'm going to demonstrate is how to make a trap out of it. It's not the best because, like I said, I wish I had a 5-gallon bucket to show you. Because as you can see, the TidyCat comes with the plastic handle, whereas a metal bucket would come with a metal post with the plastic part. And the purpose of a 5-gallon bucket is the reason why I would take a 5-gallon bucket, would consider taking a 5-gallon bucket on to a Naked and Afraid, is because like I've mentioned, storage. Uh, well, I had a few more ideas for this. Anyways, another great idea is a trap. I mean, you could make weapons out of this. I'm not going to really get into detail on how to do that. Uh, I mean, a trap is still a form of a weapon, but it's more school appropriate. And on my trap, I already kind of went ahead and did most of the work because, as I'm going to show you here in a minute, the tools I used are, well, I'll explain that in a minute. But, anyways, what I was trying to get with is the metal post on the edge of the bucket could be served to heat. Like, obviously you would need a fire, so hopefully the other contestant comes with a fire starter. If not, hopefully you guys can build a fire. Recommend practicing that if you're going to go on the show. I thought about auditioning for the show, but there's a few stringent rules that I would have trouble following. But anyways, the metal on the handle would serve as a purpose to completely make your trap. Now, since I went with the TidyCat bucket, I had to use a few other tools that kind of take away from my idea here. And that's a coat hanger. It's already been kind of cut down. Coat hanger. Uh, a metal pan. The reason why I say metal pan is because I used a soldering tool. Let me show that to you here. A soldering tool. These things get really hot, up to 600 to 900 degrees, and obviously it has a plug on it, which you would not have that in the woods or safari, wherever they dump you off at. Now, you're going to plug that in. You're going to want to at least set it on something that's not going to really catch fire, something to do that. I also have these. Type of players. I forgot the name offhand of these players. So I just call them players. But if you notice, they have a sharp edge in the middle. Those I use to the cut the coat hanger. Now, the coat hanger, really in the woods, all you would have is your handle on your bucket here. And what you would do is you would take the heat. Now you're going to want to have something to wrap it with, because obviously metal uh, tends to hold heat and travels through metal, so it'll burn your hands. On the bucket, it comes with the plastic handle that you may be able to use, or if obviously you're on Naked and Afraid, you get a satchel where you could wrap around it to hold as you heat it up and burn you're going to want to burn around the edges in some form or way. You're going to want to make a kind of a door on your trap here. The trap I made is somewhat effective, not the best one. I actually tricked one of our cats to get into it, but he didn't like that. That's a different story. Anyways, as you can see, there's still some cat treats in there. That's not turds, I promise. Anyways, got a couple minutes left to do this video. I'm going to explain this to you how to make your trap. You're going to take your, well, in my case, a soldering tool, and you're going to go along this. Now, I'm not going to plug it in. I already kind of got everything done. It takes about 5 minutes or so to heat this up alone. So you're going to want to heat this up and follow along it. It takes a little bit of time. You're going to want to follow along it to form a door. Also, you're going to want to poke, depending on how you build your door. In my case, I built my door where it goes in. You're going to want to poke holes on the side here, if you can see it. Poke a hole with your heated metal source to form a place where you can put your handle. You can put your handle through there, because eventually you're going to take off the piece handle. God damn sirens. Anyways, so you're going to heat around there. You're going to form a door. You're going to also want to, on a Tidy Cat bucket, if you notice, it's easy to pop up there. You can notice I put two holes there. That purpose of them two holes are, you take one of your pieces of metal off your handle. You're going to take pieces off your handle. You're going to put those in. I don't recommend doing it, well, that way might not be so bad, but I believe I originally put them in through this way. Obviously, they're already pre-cut. Out in the woods, it might be a little bit harder. If you kind of bend them a little while, they'll eventually snap. Might help to straighten it out a little bit before doing it. Mine was already pre-bent, which was causing a little bit of problems there. Gonna bend it, push it back in, push it back in. All right, we got that pushed back in. Now you could do two options here. The two options are, you can place these prongs in the ground to create kind of a stableness. Like this tends to rock alone by itself, so you may have to dig a little dirt aside to kind of get that stationary. Because my test on the cat, what he did was he rolled it over where he was able to pry the lid out, and he was he tried escaping, but he got caught in the sides, so he wasn't able to get out. But anyways, you have two options here. You can leave those down and set them as kind of a stable spot in the ground. Probably not the best, but another option is you could bend those down and create this secure. Also, you could leave them unbent, so it makes it easier to take the lid off easier. The whole purpose of these two metal pieces are to prevent the lid from popping off. The lids would pop off otherwise, so that way the animal could escape. So now, in this case, it can't pop loose. Now, like I said, you're going to want a metal piece that don't put behind the door, because then the animal, A, can't go in, and B, can't push the door out. You want to get kind of a metal piece going along there to prevent it, so it's a one-way door. There's many other options, recommendations to make this a better, effective trap, but I'm kind of already over time. I'm going to have to shorten this down a little bit. So I know that you're going to have to I know there's going to be a lot of comments that I went over time. Um, I'm kind of late on this assignment already because I thought it was due last night, and when I seen it was actually due Saturday, I kind of said, oh well, and I'll wait till tomorrow to do it. So there's the basics of my trap there. Basics of the trap. You can try it out. I would, but I kind of out of time. I'd show you on one of our cats. Uh, but anyways, though, that's how I made a trap. The trap, it's not the greatest, it's not the best, but you can obviously the animal goes in. Another recommendation is to get like a stick in the woods or some kind of branch and prop this down so it makes it easier for the animal to go into it, and then it'll pop up. That's what I did when I did my test on the cat. I first put in a piece that was kind of too big, and then the cat cheated and reached in there, got the food, and snuck out. So you might have to play with it a few times, try it out. Recommend maybe doing something with these so they're not just hanging loose. Gonna leave them like that so I can unbend it so that way I can do it for class. Then obviously you're gonna want to put something in there. Obviously I had cat treats in there for the cats. And that's pretty much it on how to make a trap out of a bucket. I mean, pretty self-explanatory. Like I said, many uses for this. It would be a great idea to consider on Naked and Afraid to go in the woods with a bucket. Most people going with a machete or a knife. That was originally my first choice, and then after thinking about it considerable time, it's only effective for hunting, and I'm able to create weapons out of many different things. I mean, it's not hard to create weapons. I mean, the government wants to take away guns. Well, can easily make weapons out of other stuff. Uh, anyways, I explained the bucket. Also, another couple purposes for it is if you trap your animals, you could gather some berries. I personally don't like fruits and vegetables, so I would be kind of screwed on Naked and Afraid if I wasn't able to catch any good protein, any good animals. Another effective way is to put this at like the base of your camp. Like maybe if there's a lot of snakes, you could get a snake trapped in there. You can eat most snakes, even if they're poisonous or not, as long as you know how to clean them out. And that's about it. Oh, and I did mention using this as a restroom. I highly don't recommend using that. I recommend digging a hole because obviously feces would contaminate your bucket. Therefore, any water you would have to filter for sure, which you would want to do anyways. Uh, and obviously, it smell. It kind of beat away. It would ruin the whole purpose. So I don't recommend using that. So simple trap. Made it in a few minutes. Talked longer than I probably made it. Well, other than wait for the soldering iron to heat up. And I guess that's my demonstration video. I mean, I could go on for hours about what to make out of a bucket. So, anyways, hope you enjoyed. Save your buckets. Don't choose Tidy Cat. If you go on the show, choose an actual 5-gallon bucket. It's going to be a little bit different. It's going to be a circle shape. But it's going to have the metal handles on it, which you're going to need, especially if you're in the wild with just a bucket. You're going to want the metal handles, and because this plastic one is kind of pointless. I mean, you could probably use it. I could think of a few ways to use it. You could probably like cut it off and make like a small little like shank out of it, but not really effective for hunting. You could also break it down and break this and have plastic pieces to create like sharp pointy arrowheads or whatever. Also not effective. I'm sure you could find some better wood out in the woods, but best best thing is you got a water source to carry your water source. You have sitter shitter if you really wanted to. Um, Stand, a table. You get bored, you got a table right there. And another one I forgot to mention is You could also use it to carry your fire if you had fire. Now you're thinking, well, the fire is going to melt the plastic. Well, you're going to want to put in some kind of like whatever substance you have, like dirt or anything, and form a barrier around the plastic. And you're going to want to put in about a small amount of fire in the middle of that with dirt around it, so it's not melting your plastic. So that way you could like travel at night, have like a little fire spot. Fireplace. Uh, but I'm gonna wrap this up. I'll show you the cat I use as a example since he's sitting at the door, waiting to come out. This is Ginger Kitty here. Ginger Kitty was my example cat. He kind of has Down syndrome a little bit, but so I guess I had a little bit of an advantage to that. Um, But anyways, that's my speech. Hope you guys enjoyed. Sorry it's a little longer than it's supposed to be. I'll work on cutting that down. I just wanted to do one take and have it posted so that way I got credit. You guys have a good night. Bye.